welcome to Calm Your Crazy. I'm Kiana Lambert. This is episode 4. We're going to talk about how wounds shape your reality in the quantum sense and in the biological sense. I'm not sure how far we're going to be able to get with this one, so next week we're probably going to continue with this because I want to talk about the wounds and how they create your reality, and then I also want to talk about how to change it. And I think it's going to take probably at least 2 or 3 episodes to really get into it and to really discover what it is and how to change it. All right, let's get started. So before we start talking about the wound and how the wound renders your reality, I want to talk about after my NDE and how I came back and how I felt everything. I could feel my body and its connection to everything. My senses were so heightened that I figured out it was from the anesthesia. And that is why I went into neuroscience and somatic therapy, because I wanted to map my brain to my body. And that is how I was able to come off my medications, and that's how I started noticing that my internal state mirrored and projected outside and back in. Meaning that everything that I was experiencing in my body, I started seeing reflected outside. And I was able to map it because of feeling my body and where these things were in my body. And I can tell you, it is amazing. And if you can really start to feel your body and really understand yourself and know why things are happening to you, then you can make changes. And it's amazing. You can change your life, you can change your body, you can change anything. The brain is so powerful. And I'm so excited to share it with you. So now we're going to talk about the wound and how your wounds shape your reality. Now, when you're little, you don't understand what's happening to you. The things that happen to you when you're little and they don't have any explanation get stored in your body. Your body is like the storage in your phone. Every time you have an experience, it gets stored inside your phone, into your body. And if you don't make sense of it, the storage gets full and things can't move through. So what happens is that your brain starts to render reality so that you can make sense of your wounds and so that you can move past them and that you can evolve. Because you tell your brain you want stuff, you want to do things, you want to go places, you have dreams. So your brain is going to try to help you make sense of the things that happen to you so that you can move through them and that you can actually attract and get the things that you want out of life. Because your body keeps score. Your body is what holds all your memories and houses everything, just like the storage in the phone. But if you don't delete some of your pictures, if you don't delete some of your videos, it takes up a lot of storage. And those videos and pictures are memories. And they're things that you need to make sense of. Now that you're an adult and you know better, you need to be able to make sense of the things that happen to you, and you need to confront them, and you need to be able to say, okay, that's mine and that's not mine, and I'm putting it down now. Okay, we're going to talk about how to do it, probably more next week, but for now I want to continue on, and I want to go over some vocabulary terms. So wounds, when I talk about wounds, they are the emotional, psychological pain left unprocessed from past experiences, okay? Perception is how we interpret reality through the lens of past wounds and beliefs. Trauma loop is the cycle of recreating painful experiences because the mind and body are still carrying unsolved memory. Quantum rendering is what I call how our internal state projects outward to create the version of reality that we experience. The default consensus reality is the collective programmed version of reality shaped by unhealed wounds and shared agreements. The quantum origin resonance is the deeper state where healing and change begin by reconnecting with your spirit, okay? The author state is the conscious state where you step out of wound-driven perception and you start writing your own reality on purpose. Now, embodiment comes after the author state. It's something that you choose to become as the author. It's the act of reinforcing new choices and healed perceptions through the body with breaths, habits, and taking action. Now, why does unprocessed pain stay inside? A wound is a stored memory. We do not have parents, or we didn't have parents. Now, if you did, this doesn't apply to you, but we didn't have parents. People like me, people on this frequency, didn't have parents to tell them what they were feeling was wrong or right. And you know what? Even if you had good parents, your parents may not always be able to have told you things were wrong or right or explained them to you. And in psychology, children internalize everything because there's no one there but you. There's no one in your mind but you, so it has to be your fault, right? This gets stored in your body as a memory. Because if it's your fault, you should be able to do something about it, right? So it comes up for later whenever you need it, because it's something that you need to process. So, memory drives your perception, and you filter reality through your wound. Because your body, your mind, is going to render reality so that you can process what happened to you so that you can move on. So if you don't process the wound, you're going to keep generating the same projection over and over and over again. And that's why you see patterns repeating in your life, because you are literally trying to resolve something that happened to you in your childhood. So cycles keep repeating if you believe you're unsafe in your nervous system. And some people are like, oh, but I'm safe. Yeah, your mind thinks you're safe. Your conscious mind thinks you're safe, but your body is living off unprocessed memory. So yeah, your cognitive self is saying, oh, I know there's nothing around here, so I have no idea why I'm feeling this way. Well, your body and your nervous system have something that is stuck that's saying it's unsafe. And so you're going to unconsciously choose unsafe environments, partners, jobs, until you figure it out that you're the one that is rendering these situations so that you can process an old memory that happened to you. You're literally playing out your life over and over and over and over again so that you can understand the things that happened to you and you can understand yourself better. And this is part of it too. Those wounds go deep. And they go back to feeling abandoned, unworthy, and lack of self-love, because we have the wounds that at their core are abandonment issues. At their core are feelings of being unworthy because of something that somebody did or said to hurt you. I criticized my daughter singing when she was like 3 or 4. Trying to just help her sing better, but my tone and the way that it came across shut her down. And until this day, she still struggles with being able to sing out loud. And even though I didn't actually mean it that way, it is still a wound for her that makes her feel like she is unworthy and that she's not good enough. And so we work on that. And the point is, it's not punishment. It is a mirror to help you get through it. And once you understand that it's a mirror and that you are only rendering these things because you are trying to make sense of the past, if you go in and you go into those memories, if you go in and you ask yourself, why do I feel unworthy? Why do I feel the abandonment wound? What happened to me? And then you go into the wound and say, okay, feel it through your body and breathe through it and reparent yourself. The wound goes away, the feeling goes away, and you come out wiser and stronger. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more and explain more about the nervous system imprint and childhood, okay? When you, as a child, experienced any kind of trauma, and when I refer to as trauma, it's any kind of neglect, abuse, chaos, unexplained loss, your nervous system as a child learns to stay in survival mode, okay? When I was younger, my house was chaos. We were constantly being disciplined by miscellaneous adults in the cult. They would just haphazardly knock us on the head, pull our ears. One woman would wrap our elbows on the table if she went around the table and caught us with our elbows on the table while we were eating. If we didn't memorize and say the Bible verses verbatim for King James Version, we were slapped, hit, and if we cried after spanking, we were given to the count of 3 before we were hit again. My uncle hit us so hard and so bad we would have bruises. That is abuse, okay? A lot of people don't understand what abuse is. And it is anything that makes you feel unsafe. It is anything that continues to hurt you. Okay? So, instead of cycling as you would normally do in a stressful situation, if you had a normal childhood that, wasn't very stressful or whatever else, I mean, everybody has trauma in some varying degree. So mine is particularly of the bad case, and others may not be that bad, but it doesn't take away from what you have experienced and how it affects the body. The body doesn't judge. It's all the same, and it gets stuck in there. So instead of cycling between calm and alert, the child learns to stay alert all the time, not only because of their DNA and what their experience, but often because poverty begets poverty, trauma begets trauma, drama begets drama as well. My dad came from a very traumatized, abused household, and his nervous system was passed on to me. So I was hyper alert and was already born. And with things that happened to me in childhood, it just got worse. And the thing is that my mother was really a bad narcissist, so she denied our reality and smoothed it over. The sex work, the fact that we had different sibling fathers, the fact that we were in a sex cult, I mean, she glosses it over, and she made us gloss it over to try to make it look kosher for the outside world. And it fractures your brain. It fractured my brain. It made me push away and not feel my body. So, this wiring for me and for other children becomes the default baseline. Even as you're an adult, you're going to react as if the old danger is there because it's an imprint, it's a memory on your nervous system. It's an old code that's running in your phone. It's pictures that are still there that you haven't deleted. They're old videos you haven't looked at or even processed, but they're on your phone and they're taking up space. And as your phone, I mean your body. So your fascia and muscle memory. Fascia goes through your body everywhere. It's a crystalline liquid. It carries energy through your body and it holds your muscles together. This gets tightened and this stays stuck because you are constantly protecting yourself, okay? So it responds to stress by tightening. That's what the fascia does. And repeated or prolonged stress to your body creates a program, it creates a directive in your body to continue to go like this because this is how you've already been going this whole time, okay? And that's why my body started to contort. That's why you see, you can always tell somebody that has trauma because they rotate in. They walk around and their shoulders are hunched, their pelvis is tilted in, they don't have the natural S shape, they don't have the back posture, the relaxed shoulders, because they are tensing for something, or they have had to be tense for something, okay? This affects everything in your body. This affects the way that your organs are held. I had really bad sciatic nerve pain because I tilted my pelvis in. As soon as I started healing and my pelvis started rotating and tilting back out, the sciatic nerve pain was gone. When you contort and you push your organs in, it creates more pressure on your vagus nerve. It can cause your blood pressure to go up. Like, it does all kinds of things whenever you are constantly stuck in this freeze position, okay? You can also grind your teeth at night and have a tightening jaw. It's prolonged stress and it continues, and these are the markers for it. These are the signs, right? So, trauma strengthens certain neural pathways, okay? Especially in the amygdala. The amygdala is your fear center in the back. So not only is it your fear center, but it's created that way on purpose, because if you are fighting and you're in a stressful environment, you need that to be big. It also is where all your nerves, well, your nerves aren't housed there, but it is also where you have extrasensory feeling, because think about it. If you need to be on high alert all the time, you need your senses to be on high alert because your body thinks that you're always going to be fighting something. So as a side effect of that, you feel your nerves are heightened. You're literally a superhero. If you could sit there and feel in your body, you know when people are bad, you know when they're good, you know when they have good intentions, you know when they have bad intentions, you know what they mean before they say it, you know what the underlying meaning is behind the words they say. You can read them like a book in 5 minutes because you are so accustomed to being safe. Your amygdala is huge, and you walk around with heightened nerves so that you can feel things. Now, if you don't know what these heightened nerves mean, then you are walking around in a lot of pain, and you are walking around in fear of a lot of things that you don't understand. And that's okay. That's why we're doing this. That's why I'm doing this. I mapped it so you didn't have to. Teachers are a shortcut to learning. I mapped this because I believe in this. I didn't go through what I went through for nothing. And I'm here to help. And it's amazing what you can do whenever you start understanding what is going on in your brain and in your body. Okay? So, when your amygdala gets bigger, your brain is housed in a skull. Okay? Your amygdala gets bigger, your other parts have to shrink in order to accommodate the size because it's literally getting bigger. So what is the opposite of the amygdala? Your prefrontal cortex. It's in the front. It is where logic, decision making, and your calmness come from. Okay? When you're scared of something, your judgment goes away. Because when you're scared of something, you don't need to have a whole lot of judgment. It's because your body thinks the threat is right there. You're going to go into fight or flight. Something's going to happen. But in this society, there is nothing there. So you don't have the calm. You don't have the decision making. And this is where people start choosing crime. Because they feel attacked. And so they start defending themselves. They start going on the offensive before anything even happens, which ends up creating a situation for themselves. Not only that, but they have so much emotion that they're feeling and they have no idea where it's coming from. Their body's on fire from their amygdala being so big and being so sensitive that they automatically feel defensive about everything. And this is where drug use comes in, and a lot of other things. I'm not saying this is the only factors. There's plenty of factors here, but we're talking about this specifically. Okay. So every time that something happens, so as a child, every time something happened to you that made you feel unsafe, it reinforced that your environment wasn't safe. And it laid down another layer of evidence and solidified a neural pathway in your brain that says every time trauma happens, I'm unsafe. And this continues into adulthood, okay? It makes it harder to break the cycle without your higher self, your adult self, making that intervention as you get older. Because you should have had an adult that intervened then, right? Or did their intervention then. But if you don't have an adult that's constantly in the same area or noticing or able to notice what their child is doing, then the child is going to internalize it. You internalized it, I internalized it, and unfortunately in this world it continues to happen. We're not perfect. We have to work, we have things, responsibilities, and oftentimes that is so busy that we don't notice when our kids are going through something until the behavior starts to show it. Okay? So, the hormonal and chemical process that happens every time is a dumping of cortisol and adrenaline. This creates a dependency over your lifetime on cortisol and adrenaline. Your body's used to it, and getting off of it and weaning yourself off that need for adrenaline is a withdrawal, and it does hurt. I've been through it. You have to get off of it, and you have to stop creating situations and being calm whenever you're angry, or else you're just feeding yourself adrenaline and cortisol because you're used to it, and your brain is creating situations for you to get your fix, pretty much. Okay? science and psychology. You guys are welcome to look all this stuff up, okay? Over time, cortisol and adrenaline, impact your immune system. They impact your metabolism, they impact your emotional regulation, and they impact your ability to retain your nutrients from food. If you're constantly in fight or flight, then you have no reason to eat. Your body has no reason to feed you. It thinks you're in trouble all the time. So it's going to crave the things that it needs the quickest. And your body burns fuel in this order: sugar first, breaking down muscle for sugar second, and third, fat. But it takes a long time for it to get to the fat. So if you're constantly dysregulated, your body is going to ask for sugary things to fuel your brain and muscles. It's going to ask for salty things to keep your electrolytes in balance. When you crave things, it's a sign of your body that you need something. So if all you're eating is sugar, fatty, and salty things, you're not getting the nutrients you need. Your body is going to continue to crave stuff and continue to be in dysregulation, so you're going to continue to eat bad stuff, not getting the nutrients you need, which affects your mentation and your entire body system. And it's an effect that compounds over your lifetime until you have autoimmune diseases and high blood pressure, like I did, and cholesterol, like I did, and obesity, like I did, all from your nervous system. My thyroid just got so huge, it was like a ball right here, because of the medication and because of my nervous system. So that is what happens to you, and that's how it affects your body over time. All right. Moving on now to the translation into life patterns, okay? The body pulls what is familiar, right? It pulls you towards that, and your brain is trying to make sense of what is happening, and so it's creating these situations, right? The body pulls you towards what feels familiar. So if you don't have any other baseline other than drama and trauma, like I did, we were constantly moving. My dad was constantly dysregulated. My mother was constantly dysregulated, screaming throughout the house. My dad moved his family over and then would fight with his brother and fight with other people until the police were called. It was insane. My family pretends to be this, oh, we went to school and we're this and that. No. Growing up, it was chaos. It was awful. And it imprinted and affected the rest of my life and my siblings' lives too. So it translates into relationships. You will attract people that repeat early dynamics. You'll attract partners who mirror childhood wounds. So I attracted my first husband, who had no way of communicating, was completely emotionally shut down, was a single child. His mother, bless her, but she didn't do him any favors, and his father was an alcoholic. And the few things that he said to me were in explanation of what his father did to him. And it wasn't very much. The man was an island. So since my parents weren't communicative, my parents didn't talk, I automatically gravitated to somebody who was emotionally inept. And the same with my second husband. You will attract the people that help you figure it out, and they'll mirror your wounds until you do figure it out, okay? Your body, like my body, expressed autoimmune disorders, autoimmune diseases, a ton of anxiety, digestive issues, and the core wound is that you feel unworthy and unsafe. Because my parents didn't talk to me, because they didn't co-regulate with me, because they never explained things to me or even gave me much affection, that's what I attracted in my life. Partners who couldn't be there for me emotionally, who couldn't support me, who couldn't grow up because they didn't have the tools to do it. Okay, now we're going to talk about it in the quantum sense, okay? Your brain holds the patterns, the recognition loops, and the models for prediction. That means that it's going to predict what's going to happen to you. The prediction is what draws your experience to you. It's what creates your perception. It is the screen of your iPhone, okay? For lack of a better analogy, your brain is the screen of your iPhone. I was using computers, but I don't think people use computers as much anymore with the desktop PC. But if you do, then your body is the desktop PC. Your monitor is your brain. If we're using the phone analogy, then the phone storage is your body and the screen is your brain, okay? Your body stores the trauma and the unprocessed emotion. It's like the deep archive. Now, your spirit is you looking at your phone. You're not your phone. You're not the storage in your phone, but you are the one observing it, okay? And when you do that, and when you realize you're the one that's looking at the screen, then you can use your hand and your mouse, figuratively, to change it. And I'm going to tell you how do you capture that, okay? But first, when trauma isn't processed, the body keeps broadcasting that old frequency. Everything is frequency vibration. Go look it up. The brain, trying to make sense of everything that's going on, bends what it perceives into shapes that match unresolved memory. This is science. When you see something new, your brain is going to try to map it to your experience so that you can make sense of what you're actually seeing. When the people came to Hawaii, when Christopher Columbus was off the shores of the islands, they didn't recognize the ships because they'd never seen them before. The islanders didn't recognize the ships because they'd never seen them before. There was nothing in their brains to tell them, oh, those are ships, because they didn't know what ships were. Guess who saw the ships? The shamans. The spiritual ones. They saw them first, and they kept saying, there's ships out there, there's ships out there, there's stuff out there. Nobody believed them because they couldn't see them themselves, because they had no point of reference, okay? That's how you render reality. That's how you render perception. You are going to render it by the experiences, your known experiences that you have, and the things that you've experienced. That's what you create. And it's not theoretical. Like, you are literally rendering that. This is why you attract familiar drama and trauma, because your brain is literally rendering a reality to help you make sense of the things that have happened to you in the past. You could say it's because you're used to it or because you know it. It doesn't matter. It's still rendering it. And the whole point is you don't want it to be rendered anymore, right? So, in other words, your body is the magnet. It sets the attraction for the reality that you're going to get. And your brain renders the interpretation of what the body brings in. That's why if you don't go into the body and you don't heal the body, you're magnetizing old wounds and old trauma, and it's just going to continue to come. And your brain's going to continue to interpret it the same way if you are on the default consensus reality and you don't take control of your authorship. If you don't take control of the fact that you are the one staring at the computer screen, you're staring at the phone screen, and you have the ability to swipe left, and you have the ability to choose differently, then you are always going to be in that default mode. And you're always going to get the same thing. So, the brain isn't creating everything. I want to go over it again. Here's the division of labor when it comes to your brain, body, and spirit, okay? Your body is the universe. We can do a little sidestep, okay? The Egyptians believed that the goddess Nut held the universe inside her. Leonardo da Vinci, with his Vitruvian Man, showed all the angles and that the body was the universe. You can go look it up. It's very interesting. But your body is the universe. The universe is inside you. Your body stores the raw energetic imprint of your experiences, trauma, joy. It stores all of it. We talk a lot about trauma, but it also stores the good things. And we're going to talk about that probably in the next episode, where we talk about healing and how you do this differently and how you change into your authorship. But you do have joy stored in there. You do have happiness stored in there, and you can access those. So, you are bending reality and space-time to magnetize the situations to you, okay? Now, your brain takes the sensory input of the magnetic attraction of your body, and it creates a visual mental image, which is your perception, and it's based on your wounds. It's based on what's happening in the body, and it renders the image that you can understand, okay? So, your spirit, your authorship, is the one that's looking at the screen, guiding the mouse, swiping left, swiping right, and it chooses meaning. But if you are in the default state where you're still shaming yourself and you're still doing all the old patterns, then you're basically clicking the mouse and swiping for no reason. It's just you being manipulated and controlled, and you don't have any control over yourself. So, spirit is the author, body is the memory houser, and the brain is the projector, the screen. So, the reason it matters and the reason that you need to know how each one of it works is if you only reprogram the brain with cognition and therapy, you're still going to pull the same information. You're still going to magnetize the same situations with your body and your fascia. If you only regulate your body and do somatic work, the brain is still going to project and interpret through old stories, right? So, and if you only work on spirit with your affirmations and your visioning, it's bypassing. The body and brain are going to continue to keep lagging behind until you have coherence between all three. And it doesn't mean that any one of these are wrong. The whole point is getting in balance with all three and working with all three. It doesn't mean you have to be spiritual. Spiritual is just the term I'm using. You can use soul, you can use higher consciousness, you can use anything you want to. But when you really want to change your environment, you are changing your spirit, your body, and your mind together so that you can create the outcome that you want. So, I hope this helps. We're going to talk next week about how you go into the author state from the wound. Since we clearly laid out where the wounds are, where the memories are stored, and how you can determine those wounds. Next week we're going to start talking about moving through it. How to do the exercises, how to determine what's coming up for you, and how to map it in your body. Okay? Thank you for being here. I am working on a quantum healing mini guide that's going to be on the website. It's going to have all these terms and definitions and vocabulary in it, and then it's also going to have your exercises in it. I'm going to try to do different videos that attach to it so that there are videos to reference and you can listen to without having to read. I have ADHD and autism, and it's hard for me to read for a long extended period of time, or even with books, because your eyes tend to jump all over the place. So I would like to create something that is in both written and visual and auditory format for everybody. All right? Thank you so much for being here again. Bye-bye.